While the 1-Up Turbo Truck Series is headed down to New Zealand this weekend, the Nitro National Series remains stateside here at the Magic Mile, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, for 61 laps around this very flat, very technical 1-mile oval. We've seen a lot of fun racing happen here in the Superstar Series in years past, and I'm sure this will be no different for the Nitro National cars. And unfortunately for this race, Duke Anzac was unable to join us for this. He was in New Zealand for his truck team, but joining us in the booth for today's race is a 3-time 1-Up Superstar Series winner and the championship runner-up a season ago. Miles Mashburn joins us in the booth. It's great to have you with us, and this is going to be a very interesting one. You've got 2 cars in this race among the 42 starters, and they got some work to do to make their way to the front, but anything's possible here.
Yes, it's good to be here, and anything could happen at a track like this. There's all sorts of... it's a very close-quartered track.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because there's a lot of grooves you can take on this track. You can go on the flat at the bottom of the racetrack. You can go a little higher and let the banking catch you. There's a lot that can happen here. It's just a matter of keeping the car under you for 61 laps straight, because this is one of those races that you like the most, where the pit stops don't matter and where the racing on the racetrack determines who wins it overall. As we can now look at the starting lineup for today's 61 lap race, Logan Williams in car number 88 gets his first career pole, with 2-time winner this season Ryan Griffin alongside him. Lucian, Jones, and Ellison round out the top 5 in a qualifying session that was quite intense. We've got a lot of new faces up front. We've got Devin Fair making his first start of the season in 9th. We've got a few big names in the middle of the field, and we got a few in the back as well. But honestly, it's not going to be too difficult to make gains here as long as you know which lane to run. As the field rolls off of turn number 4, Logan Williams and Ryan Griffin on the front row heading into the restart zone. The green flag is out in the air, and we're underway for 61 laps here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. You see the field fan out quite a bit down this front straightaway. And Alexa Lucian...
already getting into each other in turn 1.
Yep, and Alexa Lucian's making it 3 wide down the inside for the lead. Logan Williams is going to have to do a lot here to keep the lead as they head down the back straightaway. That was a bold move from that 50 car.
This is even crazier of a start than I expected at a track like this.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because a lot of the times here at New Hampshire, the start is where a lot of the action happens. It's a lot like a road course in that sense. But Logan Williams comes across the line. He leads the first lap by 6/100ths of a second over Lucian. And we're still 3 wide for third. Jack Boswell's actually making some nice gains through the field. He started in 6th. He's already making a fight for third.
The 50 car has been able to keep right under that 88, so he has not cleared the lead yet. It looks like he might have messed up a little bit on corner entry, but he's going to have a solid exit here, exiting lap number 2.
Yep, but yeah, Lucian, just try as you may, it's not quite enough, and Logan Williams holds the lead for now. This is a great story, Logan Williams. He's bounced around a bunch of teams as of late. He's never stayed with one team for more than a single season. But he's landed here at Team Duke in this 88 car, and while the start of the season's been a little rough for him, he's doing a very nice job here, leading laps, staying ahead of some very talented drivers in Lucian, Ryan Griffin, Henry Thomas in the 12s back there. There's a lot of good names he's holding off, and we're only on lap 4, but he's already asserting his command over this race.
Right, currently 18th in points, 1 top 5, but he has got a pole position in this race, and he's got a pretty solid start so far.
And honestly, the points positions he can gain in this race if he does a good job. He can gain really well because the points are so close now with everybody on top of each other as far as point standings go. But as they come off turn 4, to complete lap number 4, it is Williams ahead of Lucian, ahead of Boswell. They are pretty much extending their lead at the top of the table, ahead of James Ellison in 4th. This is going to be very interesting to keep an eye on for the remainder of this race, because the tire wear is not going to be that high, and we don't expect these guys to pit at all. But it's just going to be a matter of who can keep their equipment under them the best to save something for the end of this race. Because as we all know, catching a car is one thing, but getting around them and completing a pass, completely different story.
And yes, you can kind of see that right now with how close the top 3 together are right here.
Yeah, these guys, they're actually pulling away by a decent margin from James Ellison and Henry Thomas, who are now 4th and 5th on the racetrack. But Logan Williams, he's led all 5 laps so far. Lucian's had a rough start to this season. She's mired deep in the points. She got that outside pole at Iowa, but completely blew it on the start. Fell all the way back to the 20s before regaining a top 20 finish. She's 27th in points as they run right now. So she's got to make something happen, but she's under fire now from Jack Boswell, making a move up for the 2nd spot.
Yes, while it is important to save stuff for the end, some of these drivers are still going to make sure to get some passes in early into the race.
Because as we all know, it's very difficult to make a pass here at New Hampshire, but if you can time it right and set up the lane right, you can make something really special happen. And as
we've already seen it take a few laps to make a pass for some of these drivers, multiple attempts, and the 38 wasn't able to pull it off there, but when you do it, it's pretty spectacular to watch.
Absolutely. And while Boswell's doing a solid job behind Lucian, he's already got his fate for 2024 sealed. He's going to go to the Turbo Truck Series with Pirate Bay Motorsports. He's got that all locked up. He's doing a very nice job. He's proving to Austin Zorgan, who's probably watching this race from New Zealand right now, that he's worthy of the ride. And a podium position here at New Hampshire, not too shabby for Jack Boswell. He's doing a nice job holding off Ellison and Thomas, and a special shout out to James Ellison as well. He is looking for his first top 10 of the season in the Crossroads Racing number 31, and he finds himself just ahead of Alexa Lucian in the points, 26th overall. So Ellison doing a nice job holding off a superstar veteran in Henry Thomas and a past winner this season in Elijah Ironhouse at 6th.
Yeah, definitely one of those points where you're just desperate for a good finish. When you go, the first few races without any successful finishes in the top 10, running like this is definitely going to lift your spirits a little bit.
Certainly is. And Ellison's been a solid presence in the top 5 all weekend. He was top 5 in practice, obviously top 5 in qualifying. He's doing a nice job. He's holding it down to top 5 in the race. And if he can finish here, that would be a big morale booster after what Crossroads Racing has been through the last few weeks in the Turbo Truck Series especially. But he's doing a solid job in 4th, just ahead of Henry Thomas in the top 5. Oh, we got trouble on the back straightaway. We got a big wreck halfway down the back straightaway. Austin Runkle involved in this one in the 5. Ricky Freeman Jr. is involved. Ryan Soper with a bit of damage. Diego Yepes with a heavily crunched up front end, and caution flies for the first time today on lap number 12.
Yeah, some cars were able to quickly dive down to the bottom of the backstretch and get around it, but others weren't so lucky. You can see some heavy damage in quite a few of those cars.
Yeah, you can see the one car of Kasim Adnan making the trip to pit road. He's had a very rough go of the season. He's already he's made it clear he's going down the trucks as well next year. This is not going to help his season much, but hopefully he can get back out there, log some laps, and get ready for Provincetown in a few weeks. But we're going to find out what happened to Austin Runkle, Ricky Freeman Jr., and all the others soon here at New Hampshire, because this is the first caution of the race on lap number 12, and I gotta say, wasn't expecting this. I was expecting a fairly calm race, and to be fair, we had one up until this caution flag, but this just goes to show anything can happen in the Nitro National Series. But you see Kasim Adnan, he returns to the racetrack minus a hood, but he's repaired as much of the damage as he can. He's going to be at a significant pace disadvantage, though, for the rest of the race. He now stops at the end of the pit lane to let the rest of the field by before rejoining one lap down.
He's just got to get out there and turn some laps, try to salvage any positions he can, because every point matters.
Absolutely, especially for a driver like Adnan. And you see Ryan Arnold, Todd Hemmler in the pits, they're repairing some damage as well. But every point matters, you're right. Because for Kasim Adnan, he's trying to get out of the bottom of the owner's points ladder. He's trying to get into a locked-in spot. But for Austin Runkle, tough run to start this race. So you can see right here, he was racing in around 21st. He was battling Zachary DeLillo in the 03, Sam Oskin in the 73. They're just 3 wide, and I think he just comes low and he gets hooked by the 03.
Yeah, it's just one of your 3 wide racing incidents there, but pretty big pile up that a lot of cars just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, you see Diego Yepes took the brunt of that impact. He's probably got the most damage of anybody. You see the very severely damaged front end of the Monster Motorsports Dodge of Diego Yepes. It just goes to show you, though, anything is possible here at New Hampshire. You just got a lot to work with, but it can come back to bite you at times. And we're going to get you one more angle of this accident. Austin Runkle dives it off in the middle lane. He's doing a pretty good job trying to get by the 73 ahead of him. I don't know if he didn't notice the 03 was there, but either way, a lot of damage for a lot of good cars. You just hate to see it because Runkle's doing a fantastic job this season for Lation Autosport in their first season in the Nitro National Series. He got a pole at Daytona, finished top 15 there, but he's on the verge of falling out of the top 30 in owners' points now as well. So if Runkle can gain as many spots as he can in this race, he'd be glad to do it. And surprisingly, in this accident, we've only had one retirement from that race, from the wreck. It was Diego Yepes in the 04. All the other cars managed to repair themselves and get back running. Kasib and Non's one lap down, but everybody else still on the lead lap as we have one lap
well, you know
to go
what they
to
say,
restart.
Cautions breed cautions.
Yep, that's true. We could see a rash of yellows plague this race. It's only time will tell from here on out, as you see the one car of Adnan coming up to rejoin at the front of the field to take his place in the lap down lane. I'm curious to see how much pace, or how little pace, this one car actually has, because he's got a lot of damage on that front end. He could be a roadblock for the rest of the race.
Yeah, he's going to have to be very careful. This could go horribly wrong, or he could use his rear view mirror to his advantage and make sure to keep it clean and just turn those laps like he needs to.
But right now, our focus is at the front of the field. Logan Williams has led all 14 laps so far. We're coming to a restart on lap number 16. We have Logan Williams in the lead, Lucian second, Boswell, Ellison, Thomas the top 5. So pace car gets ready to make the hard left turn onto pit road, which it does now. And we're getting ready for a restart here. Williams on the outside, Adnan on the inside. Green flag back in the air.
We'll see if this restart ends up being just as wild as the other one. Possibly not due to the single file, but we had in turn 1. I already see a little bit of passing around 5th place.
Yeah, that's where the one car is falling back. He just has zero pace down the straightaways. He can keep up in the corners just fine.
But they're scrambling to figure out how to get around this one car now, and there are some position changes going on because of that.
Yep, you see Ryan Griffin on the outside in the 92, Devin Fair in the 14, stuck behind the 1, trying to make a move anywhere he can. They're going to try and put the 1-3 wide with Logan Jones in the 94, and Devin Fair on the bottom, and the 94 is going to lose out big time on that outside groove. But back at the front of the field, Logan Williams continues to lead the way. He's got a 3/10 lead over Alexa Lucian, and so far we're staying clean despite the lap car in the mix.
Looks like Lucian isn't going to let the 88 go away, though. He's got to keep the bumper in his sights, or her sights.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because Lucian has had a rough start to this season, like I said earlier. She needs something good to happen, and rumors are swirling that this could be her last season. She's been in the series since the very beginning. It'd be great to see her win one last time. If not here, then certainly somewhere else this season, if this is her last go-around on the Nitro National Tour. But there's still plenty of racing left to go. We've got about 42 laps to go now. And Logan Williams holds off the pack. He continues to lead. Boswell thought about a move on the 50, but nothing doing in that corner.
Yeah, that's like the second or third time the 38's made a similar move like that. He really wants to make it pass. There's just not been a good opportunity yet.
And even if he doesn't make it past, third place is a fantastic run for a Jeff Bolton racing team.
Yeah, definitely.
That really needs something good to happen. They've had a solid season up to this point. All 3 of their cars have finished in the top 10 at one stage or another this season. But they've fallen off in recent weeks, and hopefully the 38 can bring back some of the magic, especially with the 97, his teammate Hemler, with some damage in that accident. But we're about a third of the way through this race now, and Williams has led throughout. I'm very impressed with the job he's able to do, holding off a very good driver in Lucian. It's honestly interesting to keep your eyes on this battle for the lead, because Williams is doing whatever he can to hold on, but Lucian's just filling his mirrors up and doing what she needs to do to keep him under pressure, maybe force him into a mistake, make him run higher than he wants to or lower, because I think that's the sweet spot on this racetrack is right on that middle lane where you're lowest on the track, where the banking catches you but not low enough to where you're on the flat. That's where you want to be, is right in between those two dark lanes. That's probably where you want to be.
You can see the majority of the cars running there for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that evolves through the progression of this race. But you're right, most of these guys are running that second lane because you could run that absolute bottom group, but there is no banking down there, and you will have to slow down a lot more to make the turn down there. So maybe the second groove, maybe if you go up half a lane like you see them doing now and then cut back down, that's going to be probably the key. But the problem is, since everybody's running that line, it's going to be difficult for people to make passes without trying something different.
Now you can already see that people wanting to pass, but just because of the way that line's set up, they're stuck where they are for now.
And how about further back in the field, Joshua Michaels has the fastest lap of the race. That's worth a bonus point. He has it by 0.2 of a second, a 29.89 for Joshua Michaels in the 18. That's a great run for the 18. He's just outside the top 10 currently, doing a nice job, and he's got a bonus point he'll probably hold on to for the rest of the race, considering the pace fall off we expect. It's not going to be a lot, but it's going to be enough to where no one will probably challenge him for that fastest lap point. He's got a battle for 6th on the track, Ironhouse and Griffin side by side.
And going back to Joshua Michaels for a minute, he is 4th in points currently, and every little point is going to count, especially, as you mentioned before, how close together the point positions are, that even if he comes short a couple spots, that fastest lap point could make a difference.
Certainly could, and he's going to need as many points as he can to keep up with this juggernaut in the 92, who gets a little tight going into turn 1. That's Ryan Griffin in the 92. He won the first 2 races of the season at Daytona and at Las Vegas, but he has yet to have another top 5 since those 2 races. He's still the points leader, but he's got a narrower lead than perhaps he would have liked over Alex Frigette-Berube in the 3. They're separated right now by 4 points going into this race, and as they run right now, Griffin would extend that lead by finishing where he's at right now.
Yeah, and it looks like the 38, or the 92 car, looks like he is right outside the top 5 right now. Hungry to get another one, like you said, has gone a few races without one, but he's got to hold off the 8 car in the mirror, some other cars that definitely want to cut down on his high points position.
Yeah, Ironhouse is one of them. He entered this race 10th in points. He would have been a lot higher were it not for a really rough go at Sequoia Hills last time. He finished in the 30s there. He dropped to 10th in points. He was 4th before that race, but he's doing a solid job. And his teammate doing a good job leading the race. Ironhouse playing solid second man in the Team Duke squad in this race, while his teammates in the 3 and the 33 make their way up to the field. And speaking of through the field, we'll take you through the field a little bit. Yami Suzuki in the 24, racing Aiden Clare in the 00. This is the only Monster Motorsports car left in the field after Diego Yepes pulled out of the race with damage from that accident. But doing a solid job, as we mentioned, and Cody Goforth running just behind them. You can see Joshua Michaels racing Alex Frigette-Berube for, looks like, the 13th position on track. Michaels doing a solid job. If he can pick off a few more spots, he can really make that fastest lap point count.
I could definitely see him gain a spot or 2 in points. That'd be a pretty interesting development to see. The middle races can definitely be a bit of a slog to keep up some speed heading towards the middle part of the season. That can make a big difference before we get to the playoffs.
Yep, you saw Logan Jones. He started 4th in this race. He's drifted back to 16th. Audrey Anzac in the 33s had a rough season, but doing a pretty good job in 17th. Zachary DeLella rounds out the top 20. Ali Liara right behind them in the 23. She's had a rough go of the season currently, but holding her own in 22nd. Glenn Mixon won the last race at Sequoia Hills. He currently runs 23rd in this race. Bit of a turn of fortune for that 19. And overall, a lot of these guys are running single file. They're pretty content to run where they're at, but I expect that to change as this race enters its second half.
You know, like you said before, they're trying to save their stuff for the end. What kind of moves can they make as we head to the second half of the race? We're right at the halfway point. And we do see a little bit of passing in the middle part of the field.
Yeah, that's Cam Stevenson making his Nitro National debut, making a move on on Jonathan Lawson. But, well, you see Ryan Soper in the back. He's had a rough go of it after getting damaged in that accident. Runkle, likewise, he's only made up a couple of positions. Ricky Freeman Jr.'s got a lot of damage at the back end. Mahendra, also with issues. And Kasim Adnan bringing up the rear. He has 0 pace. The whole field is past him now. And he's not that far away from going a second lap down here.
Now we'll have to hope that, again, he's able to stay out of the lead lap car's way, but he just needs to make sure to turn some laps in case there are some more accidents in this race. He can gain a couple more spots by staying out on track.
Either through car crash or through engine failure for other drivers. Either way, it would be a great way for Adnan to pick up a couple more points. And he needs as many as he can get as we head to Provincetown. That's going to be an interesting race next time out. But right now our focus is on the lead of this race because Logan Williams has been leading throughout, and he's starting to pull a bit of a bigger lead on Alexa Lucian. The lead's about 0.4 of a second now. That's a bit more than we've seen him have for the majority of this race. Could it be that he's been saving his stuff for the end, and perhaps Lucian tried to use up her stuff a bit early? Because now the lead's 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, definitely not something you can tell for sure. Only the drivers really know, but definitely feels like some strategy is playing in here. Some cars are pushing it harder than others right now, and others are just waiting a little bit.
And if you can see by the lap times, Logan Williams was 0.2 of a second faster on that last lap than Alexa Lucian. That's why he was able to pull a bigger lead. As the battle for second rages on, Boswell makes a move to the inside on the 50. They're going to dive it into turn 1 side by side. And them fighting it out for second, that's only going to help Logan Williams because if they're punching a bigger hole in the air. That just lets the 88 get further out front.
38 going through the same strategy as before, but it looks like this time he might have a bit of a better go at it. Except for when he messes up turn 3 right there, and we got a 4th car into the mix now.
That's the 31 of James Ellison right on these guys. And what you said about Boswell, I think he just had to check up a little bit because of getting onto the flat of the racetrack on that very bottom groove. But as they crossed the line, he was ahead of the 50. So maybe a little slow in, fast out is the right way to go for this 38.
It looks like the 50 could be stuck on the outside lane now. The 31 was looking low as well. We'll see if he goes back down. Doesn't quite have the room there. But
now Boswell's starting to lose a bit of ground. But then he makes it all back up on the exit. So they're still side by side for the lead here at New Hampshire. But Logan Williams, he's extending his lead. It's now 0.9 of a second as they're about to catch Kasim Adnan to put him a second lap down.
that tends to be something that happens if you have too much of a battle for second or third or wherever. It's going to cause the cars at the lead of the pack to pull away even more.
Yeah, these two need to settle their differences soon, or else they're going to risk the 88 getting too far out front. What they've got to be hoping for is that this one car provides to be a big obstacle, and I don't think that's going to happen. You can see the 88 breezing past the one as they dive off into turn 1. Now the problem is with I think the 38's actually gotten by the 50 now, so I think it's going to be a little easier for these guys to get around the 1 now that they're single file.
Yeah, now it'll be interesting to see what kind of pace the 38 has compared to the 88. Maybe he's starting to put the pedal to the floor a little bit more and use more of his stuff as we get to about 20 laps to go in this race, 23.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because Boswell, he's been doing a very particular line in the turn 3. He's been going down onto the flat, then rising back up into the banking to let the car catch him a little bit. And man, this one car is really off pace. He's holding up the 92 a little bit. That could let the 12 by. It did let the 12 by up into 5th place as Ironhouse tries to get by. Ryan Griffin surges back on the top. But here comes Lucian back on Boswell. The battle for second carries on. Just a matter of time, I feel, before these guys need to start to realize it's no use fighting over the runner-up spot. You see them swap the position fairly readily, because I think it's clear at this point that Lucian's faster than Boswell at this point, despite the 38 getting passed and then repassed. I think the 50 needs to start putting together some really solid laps, hope for maybe some more lap traffic, although I don't see any in the near future, for these guys. We now have 21 laps to go from New Hampshire, and at this rate, I think Logan Williams is going to be on pace for, if not a Grand Slam, then certainly a max points day.
There's always a chance for that caution, though. We'll just have to wait and see. Some drivers could be just as aggressive as the 38 out there in the middle of the pack. Because, again, every position matters. That even some cars going for top 20, even top 30, could make some aggressive moves and lead to another incident. Or we could just have a mechanical failure.
Absolutely, and nothing's a guarantee in this series until the checkered flag flies, and even then it could be a touch and go at best. But we now have officially 20 laps to go from New Hampshire. Logan Williams has held a steady wheel this whole race. Lucian's been steady in second, and now Boswell's under pressure from Ellison in the 31. Ellison goes high, Boswell low, and there's that line he keeps running. Boswell keeps dipping down onto the flat, rising up onto the banking, and that's enough to keep him ahead of the 31 for the time being.
Yeah, it's nice to see different drivers having slightly different ways of taking this racetrack. The Boswell kind of has his own line here that has worked for him at some times and hasn't worked for him at other times, but he seems pretty content with running it.
And he seems to realize now that his race is not with Alexa Lucian anymore. He's trying to keep the 31 behind him and maintain a spot on the podium. But that 31's maybe been saving his stuff for the end. I've noticed that Ellison's been gaining time on these guys. Now, let's see what the gap is at the line. Lucian's 0.6 back, Boswell's 1.1 off the lead. So I think it started to settle down. I think it's going to come down to a battle between Lucian and Williams for this win, but that's only if the 50 starts to get a move on. And pretty much it's going to be a battle that it's going to be interesting because Williams has run a faultless race so far. He hasn't put a foot wrong. Lucian's got to hope that Williams makes a mistake somewhere, goes a bit higher, maybe gets onto the flat a little bit. Something goes wrong, maybe Lucian can capitalize, because there's no lap traffic anywhere in sight unless they catch the one car again, and that might be a few more laps. So Lucian's got to put every push of the pedal got to be absolutely perfect, otherwise it could be over.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about the 88's driving style much in that race, but that's because it's working out so well that he hasn't made any mistakes, or, he's just been up front the whole time. Whatever he's doing is working, so there's not really much to talk about, but it's definitely a good thing for him.
Yeah, and you see the whole field now separated by about 17 seconds on the racetrack, aside from Kasim and Nan, who is one lap down. And we got a car slowing on the front stretch. It's Kenneth Grant in car number 53. He looks to be out of it with an engine failure on his car. Is this going to be enough to bring out a caution? There's a car stopped on the front stretch. Doesn't look like it. We're going to stay green in this race. That's a tough break, though, for Kenneth Grant. He's had a miserable season up to this point, and it continues here with an engine failure here at New Hampshire.
Bit of a questionable call there, but he was way down below the normal racing line and was able to get to pit road, so looks like we're going to stay green. That caution that a lot of cars are surely hoping for is not going to come right now.
And like I said, for Kenneth Grant, this has got to hurt. He's lowest among the drivers who have started every race this season, and that's not going to change now. He's had a very rough season. Hopefully, next time out of Provincetown, he can score some good points and make something happen out of this season. Because let's not forget, he won the first ever Nitro National race a few seasons ago. So he knows how to get to victory lane. It's just been a long time for him since that happened. But we're closing in on 10 laps to go, and the gap at the front has pretty much stabilized. It's been Williams ahead of Lucian, and Jack Boswell starting to gain back on the 50 a little bit.
Once again, that battle between the 38 and the 50 for second, we've seen it a good number of times now throughout this race. The 38 just won't let up. And now that there's only 10 laps to go or so, he might have more of a chance to push that car and get around Lucian, but for now it looks like the 50 will hold on to it once again.
Yeah, and regardless, this is going to be a great day for both these drivers. Lucian's mired deep in the points, needed a good run. She hasn't even had a top 10 finish this season, surprisingly. So a strong run here would do wonders for her season. And while Jack Boswell, he's had a slightly better season, 2 top 10s to his name so far. He's 14th in points right now. But remember, only the top 12 make the playoffs in the Nitro National Series. So he's got to step it up if he's going to get back in the top 12. And so far, he's doing it.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to the track. It's quite a bit different from the other tracks we've gone to so far this season, so there are definitely certain qualities to the track that allow other drivers to shine, drivers that weren't doing it quite as much before.
The only track that could really compare to this one that we've run so far this season is Phoenix a few weeks ago, and Elijah Ironhouse was out in charge of that race for much of the day, and he's in the top 5 now. Just got past Henry Thomas to move up into the 5th spot, so maybe some flat track success is carrying over from Phoenix to New Hampshire, but regardless, Ironhouse doing a solid job in 5th, and they've pulled a bit of a gap to the 6th place battle between Thomas and Griffin, the 12 and the 92.
You know, it's like without any other incidents in this race, we might have our top 5 locked up, but where those top 5 are going to finish is still a question mark, because the 38 is right there on the tail of the 50.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting because Boswell, he's very hungry to get this runner-up finish. He's doing a very strong job. Kenneth Grant, by the way, is back on the racetrack after fixing some damage behind the wall. He's now 5 laps down in that 53 machine. But it's just a matter of logging laps, finishing as high up as you can. Albeit 5 laps down is not ideal, but it's still better than, say, Diego Yepes, who's completely out of the race. But as we travel towards the end of this race now, we have less than 10 to go. We're coming to 8 laps to go this time. And Logan Williams, he's led them all so far. Could he put on a flag-to-flag performance? I said earlier it could be a Grand Slam. It actually wouldn't be, because while he has started on pole and led every lap so far, a Grand Slam includes the fastest lap, and he doesn't have that at the moment. That's Joshua Michaels still. So it wouldn't be a Grand Slam, but it would be an almost max points day for this 88 group.
Yeah, maybe not quite perfect, but hey, almost nobody's perfect out there, so
It's as close to perfect
definitely
as you're
not
get.
something that you can complain about today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's as close to perfect as you're going to get without that fastest lap point. And as things run right now, Logan Williams would jump up into the top 10 in points. He was 18th going into this race, so this would be a fantastic day for that 88 if they can hold on for another 7 laps or so. But you see...
No, definitely. We've looked into a bunch of teams, and there are definitely some teams and drivers that are going to have great days today, but quite a few that are not going to as well.
And you see that one car of Adnan, he's probably going to fall a 3rd lap down here soon if they're not careful. But we have 6 laps to go now, and Logan Williams is doing a phenomenal job. He's keeping it out front. He hasn't put a foot wrong all day, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And we got trouble. The 38 it's lost the motor in that thing. From 3rd place in the race, now out of this race is Jack Boswell.
He must have pushed that thing so hard, or something else went wrong with that car, but that is a heartbreaker for sure.
And Jack Boswell, he was doing everything right. He was running in the top 3, but now he's out of it. Tough break for Jack Boswell.
I was going to mention just how many laps the 50 had to deal with the 38, and now it's all for nothing. Man, I would not be happy about it, and I doubt that Boswell is either.
But that moves James Ellison into a podium place now in the 31, up into 3rd, with Elijah Ironhouse right on his tail. The battle for 3rd is not over yet, as we now have 4 laps to go from New Hampshire. Lushon's closed the gap to Ironhouse. If that one car gets in the way, we could have a grandstand finish here at Loudon.
This could definitely be a close finish. About a quarter of a second gap, which is not much at all in cars that go this fast. And the 50 just has to put that pressure on the 88.
Oh, and we got one more on pit road. Jonathan Lawson into the pits. He might have a flat tire, we're hearing, on that 16 to take him out of contention for the win. Or actually, a flat tire caused by some oil drop, maybe about a 38. Who knows?
It's already heartbreaking enough to have to DNF the race, but when you're doing it this close to the finish line, I can't even imagine.
It's just hard. It's just hard for Lawson, for Boswell, for all of our retirees from this race. But for Logan Williams, it's going to be an absolutely perfect day as he comes to 2 laps to go now, and that's 88 Chevy Camaro.
It's not quite set in stone yet. The 1 car is in view, the 50 car is in the rear view, but there's not been a single mistake from his 88 car today, and I feel like he can hold on to that for another lap and a half.
Coming down the back straightaway, we're going to take the white flag this time, And for Logan Williams, this has been a long time coming. He's been in this series since the very beginning. He's been doing a fantastic job. And now, he's only about just over 1 mile away from taking his first career win. The white flag is in the air for Logan Williams. We have 1 lap to go. And Alexa Lutron's got 2 more chances. She whiffed the first one in the turn 1. She's going to have 1 more shot, maybe to send it off in the turn 3. Make it a big move, but I don't think she's close enough to make it happen. Down the back straightaway for the final time. Logan Williams trying to get around Kasim Adnan. Doesn't thinks better of it. Logan Williams in the first race in the 1-Up Nitro National Series. He finished runner-up. 56 races later, he's going to do one better. Off of turn 4 for the final time. Logan Williams gets career win number 1 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. A faultless drive. Led every lap of the race. Did a fantastic job holding off Alexa Lutron, who comes home second. Easily her best finish of the season. Great job from that 50 bunch. Just wasn't quite enough for Williams at the end. James Ellison, 3rd place at the end of the day. Elijah Ironhouse, 4th, and 5 seconds off the lead. Henry Thomas comes home 5th for his best result of the season so far. Ryan Griffin, 6th. Joshua Michaels made a late charge we didn't mention up till now, but he finishes 7th. To make that fastest lap point even more valuable. Devin Fair, his first start of the season, comes home 8th. Suzuki, 9th. And Alex Verget-Baru rounds out the top 10, just ahead of Cody Goforth. But Logan Williams, he put on a faultless drive today. There's nothing more to say about it. He did fantastically today. That team's going to be very happy to get Team Duke's 2nd win of the season.
It's just one of those stories that you love to hear. Just so long in the making to finally get that checkered flag for the first time. Like, there's nothing else like it.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fantastic celebration for Team Duke, for Logan Williams, and that entire 88 team. So, that does it for us from New Hampshire. From Miles Mashburn and from myself as well, we say goodbye from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We'll see you again next time at the Provincetown Circuit for 1-Up Racing's first ever standing start. It's going to be a lot of fun out in Massachusetts for that one. We'll see you then. But for now, it's so long from New Hampshire. A big congratulations to Logan Williams. First career win, and he does it in commanding fashion. Big win here at the Magic Mile.